with redistricting, did you see proposed lines? Do you have an idea? Are you going to lose Bethlehem? Or?
As it stands now, yes, but I have not reacted to anything. I spoke with Pat Casal, who held this seat years ago, and he's down in Florida, and he said, you know, what they're proposing for me right now is very similar to what they proposed for Pat 10 years ago, but when they went to vote, the lines were completely different. So I haven't reacted at all publicly to it. I haven't really stressed about it at all because I can't impact it in any way. I can only react to what I'm finally going to vote on.
What does the Pat Casal district look like?
Yeah, right now it looks like, as proposed, it would pull me completely out of this side of the river on the west side of it, and no more Bethlehem or Queens or Coxsackie or New Baltimore. All that would be gone. I really would pick up a lot of Rensselaer County, almost all of it, except Troy, North Greenbush, and the city of Rensselaer. I go north into Washington County, which is new territory for me, White Creek and Cambridge, but very similar communities to Rensselaer County in that they're kind of farming type communities. And then I turn south, a little bit more south into Columbia County than I currently am. So I keep Kinderhook and Chatham and New Lebanon, I lose Stuyvesant, and I pick up Austerlitz, Canaan, and Hillsdale. So from the Connecticut border to the Massachusetts border to the Vermont border to Albany. So
instead of a river district, it's a border district.
It's a border district, yeah, exactly.
Well, we will miss you.
Oh, and I love Bethlehem. I've had a great time.
And Bethlehem loves you because I saw you when, you know, we had the swearing-ins and all that. I mean, there was a love fest here for you.
Wow, thank you. I mean, we've worked very hard. I mean, this is a great town. You know, all my towns are great. And that's the thing, it tugs at you a little bit because you don't want to lose any of your territory because you establish relationships and you have a great time. Everybody has different needs, which makes the job very, very fun. But it is what it is, and you never know. We may go into vote, and I might be right back here. I might pick up some more. You never know. So I'm just waiting to see.
Rabbi Simon, you were at the swearing-ins. You saw what the love fest was for Steve.
Yeah, no, that's good. It really, you know, people, you know, listen, let's be honest. People always make jokes of politicians, but on the other hand, I mean, I've always seen it, you know, just dealing with people, talking to people over these many years, is just, you know, someone who's real and does something is appreciated. You know, you could talk and, you know, their talk is cheap, like they always say, and it is. But, you know, when someone, you could see someone who does something, and that's, you know, that's what we saw there.
Yeah,
people do appreciate someone who's, like what you're saying, honest and hardworking, not just getting in front of the camera saying you're doing something when these people don't do too much.
So under these proposed plans, who is likely to have Bethlehem? Is that going to be up for grabs, or what?
As it stands right now, Jack McEnany would pick up Bethlehem, but he wouldn't pick up Queens. That would, I believe, right now fall into, I think, Pete Lopez's district. So Pete, as bad as it is now, his district, and not a bad district, it's just huge, 7 counties. The poor guy is going to stretch from Columbia County to Utica. Which is really almost inhuman to try to cover that district.
He'll lose Delaware, and he'll lose another county.
Another one, yeah.
I think.
I think it is Otsego.
And then he'll move more towards. But you know what's interesting with Pete's district, and for the audience, I just wanted to, you know, have them get an appreciation for how arcane this redistricting system is. They actually. There's a neighboring legislator for Pete, Claudia Tenney.
Claudia, yep.
And they drew her house into Pete's district to put 2 Republicans together. Now they could, and they have an open district just outside of Claudia's house. So they could have left Claudia's house in the district to give her a separate district, you know, a district for herself. But instead, the Democrats in the Assembly who are drawing the lines are being political with this. It's so obvious that they put 2 Republicans to run against each other, and Claudia, who's a freshman, and Pete, who's a veteran Assemblyman. Claudia just said, "Well, you know, I'll just retire. I just won't run again." You know, tentatively. You know, and Pete would have, I think, still 7 counties. Still be 300 miles long, but it would go a little bit further north and just as far west, pretty much. You know, it would pick up Herkimer and Oneida. I mean, it's just
it's too much territory for one person to care about over here.
Really too much.
Because they have to drive everywhere.
Yeah, and Pete runs a biodiesel Jeep. You know, I always say my cholesterol goes up when I drive behind you. You're burning off all that cooking oil. But, you know, Pete hustles everywhere. And we're very hopeful that Claudia and Pete will get uncoupled, as they say, and they'll each have a district to run in, because it's not really fair to have people fight it out like that.
No, and it's unnecessary, too. You know, if there's a challenger and a newcomer who wants to challenge an incumbent, that's all fair. You
Right.
know? But
Exactly.
just for the sake of, I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, they drew the line just a little bit more just to include her house.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
It is.
So,
And we do remain hopeful. We're waiting to see. That's why nobody's really overreacting.
well, on the Senate side, 3 Queens Democrats are facing each other.
Same thing.
Really?
Because of the same thing.
Yeah.
The same way the Republicans in the Senate drew the lines.
Yep.
They just drew people's homes together so that they
Yeah.
would have to face each other.
Yeah, and it's unfair on both sides. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
whether the Republicans doing it or
Exactly.
Democrats
That was
doing it.
my
It's
point.
just
Yeah.
it's a nonsense thing to do. I don't agree with it, and we're hopeful that things kind of work
Yeah,
them
there's going to be a
themselves out.
special master. The judge ruled recently that the special master should be called in to do these lines because the legislators apparently haven't even touched the congressional lines, and you got to start circulating petitions March 20th.
Yeah. Imagine that.
3 weeks.
And as easy as this winter has been,
Yeah.
and we were talking about how easy the winter's been, it's been a great break for us to have an easy winter. You never know, it is the Northeast. You could have a foot of snow on March 20th, and you're up here trying to get petitions done, and it might be 10 degrees out. You just don't know what we're going to get winter-wise. And it makes it a very short cycle, and it makes it very, very difficult for any challenger of either party.
And that's why they do it.
Exactly,
The
yeah.
Incumbency Protection Plan, the IPP.
IPP. Now, the governor has said he's going to veto, and he probably
Go to
will.
courts.
He probably
Go to
will
the
veto
courts.
these
Yeah,
lines.
that's
so.
why that's why the legislature is doing this, because they have no hope. They're saying, all right, he says he's going to veto it, let him veto it, we'll play our games, we'll have our fun drawing the lines and the Crayola, the crayons in the inside the lines and all,
Yeah.
keeping it inside the lines.
Yeah.
And then, let the judge do it. That way we can't be blamed for anything.
Interesting,
And-
though, in
but that's
Texas, the judge basically took a hands-off approach and was much more, it's up to you guys, you figure it out.
Well,
so.
the problem in New York State is that we're losing 2 seats, so
Right.
we can't still elect 29. We can't do it next year or the year after.
That's right.
Like we did in 1965, I think. We had an election in 64, 65, 66. And, but we can't do that now
Interesting.
because we have the congressional elections where we have to lose 2 seats. So we can't elect 29 people to the Congress and then there's no seat for 2 of them.
It's amazing. What a year it's going to be. Presidential, redistricting, it's just everything's coming at us this year. It's going to be very interesting. Imagine trying to run for Congress and you have to raise a couple of $1 million and you have no idea where your lines are going to be.
Now, there are some assembly members who want to get out and run for Congress.
Right.
And so there's going to be all shifts after November.
That's true.
And there's going to be special elections again. And now, let me ask you this. In this year, with all this redistricting, it's possible that we could have, an April primary for the presidential,
Right.
a June 26th primary for the congressional, and then maybe a September 11th primary for the state assembly and senate.
That's true. I
Now-
don't think that's going to occur, but it feasibly could occur.
Feasibly could.
Yep.
That's $50 million for each.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's
Yeah.
the number, which is
I'm just like shocked.
What a waste
that-
of money.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. So if you had your druthers, what
Yeah.
would you do?
Well, one, you're certainly going to have the April one. There's no way we're going to be doing an April primary, and that's okay. The presidential primary can stay as is. But we have to come to some kind of agreement, whether it's July, whether it's August, something. We have to come to some agreement. The Senate does not want a June primary, and the Assembly does. So there's going to have to be some sort of agreement there. The other problem we run into is a lot
what's
of our...
your druthers? What do you say?
I'm okay with whatever they do. If they do July or August, I'm fine. I think June is a little bit early, but if the Senate agrees to June, I'm fine with that too. I know it has to be one. That much I would say. It's got to be one primary date. We cannot put the people in New York through this. Because here's what I think is going to happen. If you do that, you have too many primaries, people are on vacation, it's hot, they should be out there enjoying their summer with their families. Your turnout's going to be ridiculously low in these primaries. It's low anyway, but you do it in July or August. A lot of our polling places are at schools. They're not air conditioned. They have to be opened up. It's going to be hot. I just think it's really bad form, bad for democracy. I think we come to some agreement and say, hey, we're going to do it on an August day and somewhere, whatever. It's going to be hot no matter what we do. Whatever we're going to do, it's going to be hot. But I think that it's really kind of a nightmare, but I'd be okay with one
So
date.
if it's June 26th for Congressional Assembly and Senate, if that works out,
Yep.
then there's a longer season until the general election in
Absolutely.
November.
Yep.
There's then you got all your contests paired off, and you got Democrats, Republicans, and minor party candidates running against each other
Right.
over a longer period of time.
It certainly gives people more time to get their word out. For me, I don't worry about that. I just figure I'm going to campaign hard no matter when that date is. I'll be out there knocking on doors just like I did last time, spreading my message. Whatever that happens to be, I'm going to be fine with it. Because ultimately, again, I can't do anything about when these dates are arrived at. We're going to end up voting on the date, and whatever it is, we'll make that decision. I don't think there needs to be more than one, though. It's just a complete waste of money. Why should we be spending $50 million when we could be helping a lot of people with $50 million or doing something else with that money? So I hopefully cooler heads prevail and we come up with one date.
What other committees are you on?
I'm on tourism, which we had a meeting today on tourism, children and families, which we had a meeting, was it yesterday or today? Well, you lose track, the days go by so fast.
It's
Banks, and I'm the ranking member on ranking minority member on real property taxation. So some pretty busy committees. Yeah, yeah, no, it tends to be dry, but it's one of the more active, interesting committees in a way, because
real
we do
property?
Real property. We end up talking about a lot of stuff in the real property committees. I'm not going to tell you it's the most exciting stuff in the world, but there's a lot of back and forth and give and take. And interestingly, there's a lot of crossover. You have some Democrats voting no on some of the real property tax bills, and you have some Republicans voting yes on some stuff.
What's
so
the status with the STAR program, since you are in real property tax?
Yeah, well, I think the STAR program is going to suffer a little bit, and one of the things in the governor's budget that I'm not happy with at all, and I don't think anybody's really happy with, is if somebody owes, and probably people watching this would have no idea that this is going to occur, but if you owe a tax liability to the state, even a sales tax liability, they can go after the all of that STAR tax exemption. So you may owe arrears maybe $100. You owe the state $100 from last year. They're going to take your entire STAR exemption. So you may lose a couple $1,000s. I'd much rather see if you owe $100, we get our $100 that is owed, bring you up whole, and you keep the remaining tax exemption that you have. So now you're going to have people that could lose their entire tax exemption, the STAR exemption, which a lot of them really need that money, and then they have to kind of reapply the next year. So that's a dangerous thing that's going on here. That's enclosed in the governor's budget, and I think that we're going to be certainly working hard to make sure that that is tweaked in some way. We'd all much rather see, if you owe $100, you owe $100, you should pay that $100.
Especially if you're a business owner. Yeah.
Exactly, but it doesn't mean you should lose everything. And sometimes these guys are making honest mistakes. They're not going out of the way trying to not pay $100. They just might have made a mistake. But you get
their attention.
You certainly do, but to take it all away.
And that's what they're trying to do, is get their attention.
They are, but what happens if it's senior, and they lose a $2,000 or $3,000 exemption? It could be a real hardship for them, and it might not have been their mistake. It might have been their CPA's mistake or something like that.
They're responsible for it, CPAs.
Oh, no doubt, but I think I'd rather see you owe us 100. Yeah, not all or nothing type of.
Mark, we're out of time. We're having such a good, you talk about having an interesting session over here. So we're very, very interesting, and we're glad we, again, checked in with the Assemblyman, because this way we know what's happening, and hopefully our state's in good hands.
It's getting there, I think.
Yeah, all right, getting better and better.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
My
and
pleasure.
Mark, of course.
My pleasure. It was great. A lot of fun.
I'll see you around the halls in the Capitol.
Absolutely. Every day, pretty much, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.